Charlie Olsky. I live in Brooklyn. I'm a film publicist.
And I'm Todd Goings. I'm Charlie's partner. I also live in Brooklyn with Charlie, and I'm an editor for a television series.
My name is Rachel.
My name's Sarah.
We did not know Sarah and Rachel before we went on the journey to have a kid together. Rachel was looped in with me on email from a mutual friend, Miriam, who emailed me out of the blue on a Saturday. I hadn't talked to her for a couple of months and just said, "Hey, how are you doing? Would you ever want to become a father?" I was like, I think about that all the time.
Sarah and I had been talking about planning a family for a while, and we did not know Charlie and Todd, but a good friend, an old friend of mine, Charlie, came to mind for her. So I reached out.
Do this for a couple, and we thought it might be a good situation for everyone.
And so Rachel and I met. It felt like she was an old friend, and we just kept talking. But it was a course of over a couple of years, the process between when we first met and when Exa was born. So we got to know each other well.
Yeah, we got to know each other more and more and more, over the course of trying to make it happen.
And I'll say, it had been a conversation amongst us for years that I was always very interested in somehow having kids in some capacity, even if it just meant being a donor to kids that, I didn't see that much. I'm from a family of Holocaust survivors that my dad was, the only one who made it out. So it was one of those things where I felt like it had been sort of imparted on me early to get out there. And it had always been interesting to me. But it wasn't something that we necessarily had the same viewpoint on. A lot of times for gay parents who it's really expensive to get kids. You have to have like a fair amount of money in order to go through adoption processes, in order to get a surrogate mother to carry an egg. It didn't seem like something that we knew we were going to be able to explore. And so when a friend told me that someone we'd never met before was potentially interested in just finding a donor, it didn't mean that I'm going to say yes immediately, but I was ready to hear.
Sarah and I knew that we wanted a known donor in our lives.
Which means that the donor is someone who both we know and that the child will know growing up.
It was quite a journey to become parents. So I think for me, I feel really lucky and grateful every day, and just, lucky to be X's mom.
I guess I always think about the families that you choose and create for yourself, and the families that are chosen for you.
There's a common thread amongst a lot of queer people of a discussion of chosen family and birth family.
Yeah.
I don't think it's as true anymore, although it's occasionally true still. But in the past, a lot of times people's parents and families didn't really accept their sexual identity. If they were LGBT, the idea of a chosen family was the people who then became your family, lacking sort of your birth family.
Not all families come together in traditional ways, and traditional families are, everybody's life is complicated and everybody's life is different, and traditional families, it doesn't always work for everybody. And so you find your own version of family that does work for you. And those families are really beautiful and rewarding.
I would say that we came together by chance. That they were looking for just a donor for their pregnancy so that they could have a child. And we were, going to have some limited time. Maybe we'd do family dinners once a week or two. But things really changed because of COVID. We went from being potentially just, basically elevated uncles to the apartment downstairs from them opened up. They could use help because nobody's really going out or in. And we moved in. And it became much more of a family, I think, than we had ever anticipated in the beginning.
We spend a lot of time together. We see each other every day, wake up with the baby, play with her, spend time together. She spends time at our home and downstairs with the boys.
One of the challenges has been figuring out how to navigate our lives as two different units as well. For the two of us and then the three of them, I think one of the challenges has sometimes been just navigating having four people who need to sort of all plan together. We hadn't necessarily planned for it originally. So Rachel is from California and her family lives out there, but we live here. So if she ever thought about relocating, she has to take into consideration we're here and then what's best for the kid. And there's not always a good answer or an easy answer.
We waived all rights and responsibilities. So we have no obligations, we have no responsibilities, and we also have no rights. We have no that claim to how much time we spend with her or anything like that. Those are the terms of our contract.
Yeah, it can be difficult to know that we will not have any sort of final say on some of the major parts of her upbringing, and she means so much to us and we care so much about her. That can be a challenging thing to know. If for any reason either of them needs to move, to leave the city, while we understand that that's always a possibility, it's hard for us to know what our next steps would be because we don't, have the legal rights to make a call on that.
So we're the parental figures for Exa, and Charlie and Todd are part of the family we built.
People don't always understand. I have to explain a little bit because it's not. I haven't met other people in our exact situation. Sometimes when I tell people about our arrangement, they'll say, "Oh, how modern or edgy or something," slightly rolling their eyes, and I'm always like, "Not really. This wasn't meant to be, some sort of radical statement. It wasn't meant to be woke. It just came together, and it's something we really love and cherish." It all came from the human desire to have kids and to sort of pass on something. Everybody kind of just wants somebody to give your photos to who will care about them when you're gone. And that's just normal.
We live in Brooklyn. It's intentional to live in a place where mostly minds are more open and receptive to all kinds of ways a family can be. I think maybe with our extended family, not that there's disapproval, but maybe people have asked for, or maybe didn't quite understand the dynamic. And so sometimes we have to clarify.
So we post a lot of photos of Exa on social media. And they tend to get an outpouring of love and support, and a lot of my extended family are very, very, very conservative, very red state. Charlie and I have definitely noticed that there is not that same show of support for Exa. I don't know, their political or religious views tell them not to like our situation. But yeah, we can't help but wonder, why there's a difference in how they react to photos of Exa than compared to how they react to photos of other babies in my family.
My hope is that we can guide her through the world. It's an incredibly sacred, special role that we get to be in. I think, in the coming years, there will be challenges to sort of figure out, because as beautiful in this scenario of raising her in her first 2 years, it may not always look like this. And so I think the challenges may come in the future, figuring out how to keep the bond and every day is a little bit like,
We did it. At the end of the
Yeah,
day, we high
right.
five.
And so I think empowering is a good word to use. I do feel like there's a lot of support in our family unit.
I feel like not just with Exa, but also with Sarah and Rachel, that we have such a strong unit. And it's just been amazing to have that in our lives during such a difficult point of the world existing. It's amazing to be part of a family that we didn't dream that we would be able to have.
If you liked this video, make sure to hit like, comment, and subscribe to keep up to date with all of our RealWorks YouTube videos. And don't forget to watch the films of the next generation of filmmakers.